All right, ready to dive into this crop circle mystery.
Absolutely, and you've provided us with quite the rabbit hole to explore with all these articles, podcasts, personal accounts. It's impressive.
I wanted to get the full picture, so I guess the first question is, what are we dealing with here? Elaborate hoaxes or something more?
Well, even before we get to that, the term crop circle itself is a bit of a misnomer, wouldn't you say?
How so?
It implies a limited scope, like saying every UFO is a flying saucer. Many researchers prefer crop formations to encompass the true diversity of these patterns.
Okay, crop formations. I like it. It feels more open-minded, less tied to a specific image. And speaking of images, you included this fascinating account from Andy Thomas.
Ah, yes. A first-hand experience, always a good place to start.
He talks about being drawn to these formations back in '91, almost like a pilgrimage. The way he describes it, misty mornings, these massive patterns dwarfing him. It's evocative.
It speaks to the power of these formations to evoke a strong emotional response,
Yeah.
even without knowing their origin.
He even compares being inside one to standing in a cathedral or some kind of sacred space. Have you encountered that sentiment before?
Absolutely. Even without concrete answers about what they are, crop formations seem to tap into something primal in us, our reaction to awe-inspiring places, whether it's a natural wonder or a man-made structure.
I get that. It's that feeling of being small, yet connected to something much bigger than yourself.
Precisely. And that sense of connection of something beyond our everyday understanding is a recurring theme in this whole crop circle mystery, isn't it?
It certainly is. But let's be real. We can't ignore the elephant in the room, or rather the hoaxers in the field. Even Andy acknowledges that some formations are definitely man-made.
Of course, there's clear evidence of some pretty impressive hoaxes out there. But here's the thing. Some formations display characteristics that are incredibly difficult, if not impossible, to replicate using conventional methods.
You're talking about more than just flattened crops, right?
Exactly. Andy describes bent stalks with these strange angles, almost like they were manipulated with impossible precision. And then there are the biological changes observed in the plants themselves.
Biological changes? What do you mean?
Researchers, like biophysicist William Levengood, have documented elongated nodes in the plant stems.
Elongated nodes, so for those of us who aren't botanists, what exactly does that mean?
Basically, the nodes are like joints on a plant stem, where leaves or branches sprout. Levengood found that in many crop circle plants, these nodes were significantly longer than they should be. And even more intriguing, there are documented cases of cell wall pitting.
Cell wall pitting? That sounds ominous.
It is, in a way. It suggests damage to the plant's cell structure, as if subjected to rapid heating and cooling.
It's like these plants were zapped by something, but what could possibly do that? I mean, are there any other plausible explanations for these anomalies? Freak weather, weird fungi.
Those are valid questions, and it's important to be open to all possibilities. But what's interesting is that Levengood's research was published in peer-reviewed scientific journals.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't just some fringe theory. It's been scrutinized by the scientific community.
So we're left with these anomalies that even scientists are struggling to explain. It's kind of like those compelling UFO sightings where even if you can't explain everything, there's a core of strangeness that you can't shake. It's like we're entering the realm of the unexplainable here. But these crop circle anomalies, we're talking about more than just strange patterns, right? There's something potentially groundbreaking happening on a biological level.
Absolutely, and it makes you wonder, if we're dealing with something truly unexplained here, could there be similar anomalies occurring elsewhere? Perhaps we've been so focused on fields of wheat that we've missed other strange occurrences.
Now that you mention it, Andy does touch on that, mentioning reports of swirling treetops in redwood forests. There's also that massive Aboriginal figure etched into the Australian desert. Oh, and even those glyphs carved into that dry lake bed in Oregon.
It's fascinating, isn't it? The sheer scale and diversity of these patterns across completely different environments. Whatever is creating them or influencing their creation, it's not limited to just one medium or location.
So we could be looking at a global phenomenon here. But if these formations are a form of communication, who's sending the message and who are they trying to reach?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Andy proposes an intriguing theory. He calls it acclimatization. The idea is that this gradual increase in crop formation complexity over time, it could be a deliberate strategy.
Instead of a grand close encounters spaceship landing, we get these intricate patterns in a field. Why the subtle approach?
Well, imagine the potential for panic and disruption if a truly undeniable extraterrestrial message just appeared overnight. a more gradual approach, like these increasingly complex crop formations, it would allow humanity to acclimate to the idea of other intelligences at our own pace.
Like dipping our toes into the cosmic pool before taking the plunge. I like that analogy. But if the goal is communication, why not create something undeniable? A giant glowing message visible from space, perhaps?
That's a very good question. It suggests that whoever or whatever is behind these formations might be bound by certain constraints, perhaps an intergalactic rule against blatant interference.
A cosmic take-only pictures, leave-only footprints policy. I like it. But let's shift gears for a moment. We can't talk about crop circles without addressing the media's role in all of this. Andy's quite critical of their coverage, calling it dismissive and often inaccurate.
And he's not alone in that criticism. The media, they often gravitate toward simple explanations, even when dealing with complex phenomena.
It's the classic case of a catchy headline outweighing a nuanced discussion. And when it comes to crop circles, the Doug and Dave confession really muddied the waters.
Oh, yes, Doug and Dave, a perfect example of how misinformation spreads.
Two guys with planks of wood claiming to have created those intricate formations? Come on.
Despite the inconsistencies in their story and formations that differed significantly from genuine ones, their confession, it had a lasting impact on public perception.
It's frustrating because their story provided a convenient excuse to dismiss the entire phenomenon. So is the media's portrayal of crop circles driven by ignorance, laziness, or is there a deliberate attempt to control the narrative?
It's likely a combination of factors. There's pressure to conform to prevailing narratives, a fear of being labeled crazy for entertaining the unexplained, and perhaps, just perhaps, a certain level of discomfort with what acknowledging a phenomenon like this might mean.
It makes you wonder, are we conditioned to dismiss anything that challenges our current understanding of the world? And it's not just crop circles, right? Look at how the media covers UFOs and UAPs. There are definite parallels.
Absolutely. For decades, these topics were relegated to the fringes, dismissed as nothing more than conspiracy theories. But look at the Pentagon's recent acknowledgement of UAPs. It suggests a potential turning point.
So, could this new openness to unexplained aerial phenomena signal a shift in how we view crop circles as well? It's like we're finally admitting there might be more to reality than we currently understand. But let's say, just for argument's sake, that these crop formations are a message from somewhere else, some other intelligence. What are they trying to tell us?
That's the question, isn't it? The million-dollar question that has fueled countless theories and debates. Are they trying to warn us about something? Guide us in some way? Or simply get our attention?
I imagine deciphering a message from an entirely different intelligence wouldn't be as straightforward as translating, say, French to English.
Exactly. It might not be about direct translation at all. What if the message isn't meant to be understood literally, but rather experienced?
Experience. Okay, I'm intrigued. How so?
Well, think about it. The intricate geometry of these formations, the sheer scale of them, the way they make us question our place in the grand scheme of things. Maybe that's the point.
So it's not about decoding a specific message. It's about broadening our perspective, expanding our consciousness, right?
Precisely. Like those optical illusions where you see one thing and then you shift your perspective and suddenly you see something completely different.
I see what you mean. The crop circle phenomenon, whatever its origin, it challenges our assumptions about reality, about our place in the universe. It forces us to confront the limits of what we think we know.
And that in itself can be a powerful message, a call to reconsider what's possible.
It's like they're saying, we're here, but not in a way you might expect. Open your minds, think differently, and you might just catch a glimpse of something truly extraordinary.
And that sense of wonder, that's something we often lose sight of, don't we?
It's easy to get caught up in the day-to-day, our routines, our screens. We forget to look up at the stars and just wonder.
The crop circle phenomenon, extraterrestrial or not, it reminds us that the universe is full of wonder, full of mysteries yet to be unraveled.
It encourages us to stay curious, to never stop questioning, and never lose that sense of awe.
Exactly. And who knows, maybe by staying open, by daring to explore the mysteries that surround us, we might just stumble upon answers we never even imagined.
Well said. And on that note, we've reached the end of our deep dive into the crop circle mystery. But the conversation doesn't have to end here. To all our listeners, we'd love to hear your thoughts. What resonated with you? What are your own theories? Keep exploring, keep questioning, and most importantly, keep that sense of wonder alive. Until next time.